See, it's a complicated and somewhat pathetic tale.
Up, but didn't hurt him. Weird dude. Always had midgets running around. I hate midgets.
I'm genuinely fascinated.
We're relics. Come on, have yourself another drink and let's wallow in a little self-pity.
Sounds like a plan.
Alright, what's up guys, and welcome back to Red Dead. So, I had a little bit of a dilemma. I don't know if it was the times I was signing in or what, but I just could not get any matches. Or any good matches. I mean, or sometimes I would get matches and there'll only be like 4 people, and I just don't really think that they're really that worthy to record. So I had another idea of maybe telling some stories that have happened to me while playing this game. And I think that I can offer a unique perspective because I've been here since day one. And I've seen a lot of shit go down. And I've had some crazy stories, you know, stalkers, crazy ex-girlfriend that I met on here. But what I want to do first is kind of start with chronological order. And start at the beginning, start at the origin of how I started playing Red Dead and even how I learned how to do headshots. So, I first got the Xbox in 2009. My uncle gave it to me. Originally it was his. I think he got it in release in 2005. But he got a PS3 and the 360 was just sitting around for a while. So, in 2009, I got the Xbox. Which means until 2009 I was playing on a PS2, if you could believe it. And in 2009, it wasn't until 2009 that we had wireless internet. So we had dial-up in my house until 2009, which is just crazy to think of. And even crazier that there's some people that haven't really experienced dial-up internet. So we got wireless in 2009. I got the Xbox in 2009. And I got Red Dead Redemption on release day, May 18th. I was really hyped for it. My uncle's really hyped for it as well. He was mentally disabled. I remember him seeing the trailer and he'd be like, "It's May 18th, Mom, it's coming out May 18th. He would tell my grandma that. And I was just as hyped for the game. And I think that the first trailer that I saw was the Life in the West trailer, where it was just showing John Marston, the different things that he could do, that you could do in the game, like camp, like what we're doing right now, sitting at a fire and talking with the NPCs and doing other things that wasn't even really done before. So I was just really hyped up for the game, and I got it day one. I played the single player, loved it, of course. And then I got one of those. I had the interest of playing online. And I got one of those, I don't know if you guys remember those adapters, those wireless adapters that you used to have to plug into your 360 before the wireless came with the 360. And I got one of those, and it was August of 2010 when I first joined Xbox Live and when I first played Red Dead Redemption Online. And I was really amazed at that because I never had played online multiplayer before. Now I had played online, couch co-op, with me and some friends, or me and my sister, we play, like fighting games or GTA games. One of us died, we hand the controller off to the other person, stuff like that. But I never really played online before, and I was just so intrigued because most of the time it was different. Each experience I had, you run into different people. One guy, is an asshole, just kills you over and over, and then or maybe you meet a friend and you go do different free roam missions and co-op missions together. I thought that the free roam was okay. I wasn't really too into the free roam. I'd say from the start I more liked the gang matches. And one thing I noticed when I was in the gang matches was I was getting destroyed by people, from RDS. I'm not sure if DSK was around back then. They might have been more 2011. But off the top of my head, around that time, I remember RDS, ADM, maybe SOS, and a few other clans there. There were already clans forming, a few months after the game had released. And I remember them destroying me with headshots, and I could not get a kill on these guys. And I was like, how do I do the headshots that they're doing? How do they even do that? And so what I did was I looked I looked up how to do headshots, and the first video I came across was a video from IGN explaining, that you have to have your settings on normal, and explaining that you have to have your settings on normal and that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, I kind of get the logistics of how I do this, but like I was looking, how do I do this in a more like practical sense? Like, when do I do the headshot? How should I time it? And I saw another video, and it was actually a montage of headshots by this guy. I forgot his name. I think it was like Rebel something. And it was the weirdest video because it was him doing headshots to the song of C is for Cookie by Cookie Monster. I'm not playing with you guys. That and the IGN video is how I learned how to do headshots. It wasn't like I went through some rigorous training how to learn how to do the headshot, or I climbed up the tallest mountain in tall trees and learned from a wise player how to do it. No, I learned, one of the ways was from IGN, and the other ways was from this guy. He had a montage of C is for Cookie by Cookie Monster.
What starts with the letter C? Cookie starts with C. Let's think of all the things that starts with C. Who cares about other things? C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me.
And after I saw that video, I was like, okay, I can do that. And at first, when I first did the headshots, they were very slow. They were nowhere near as fast as I learned how to do it later on. But they were just kind of slow, and I was like, okay, I'm getting them every once in a while. And then I saw this other setting, this other thing in the settings for inverting, and I was like, what's inverting? And when I first turned it on, I was like, oh my god, this is so weird. How can anyone play like this? But eventually, over time, I actually learned to play inverted, and that's how I still play to this day, is inverted. I noticed that it was easier for me to flick my thumb down rather than to flick my thumb up, and I think that that's one of the reasons why, at the time and even now, why my headshots come out so quickly. It's because, it's just an easier movement to flick your thumb down than to flick it up. And eventually, I got better and better at the headshots, and I would say I started getting good at the game around 2011. And then, from then on, I'd say I've been pretty decent at the game. There's been up and downs, there have been a few years where I've kind of been inconsistent, a few years where I did better, but I would say that I started getting good at the game around 2011. So yes, that's when I started to get good at the game and learn headshots. Now, my playstyles changed over time based on, whatever clan I was being a part of or interacting with at the time. Now, we'll talk about the clans in the next video, but I could briefly talk about how my playstyle originally changed. So originally, I learned the headshots, but I was kind of more like a camper, in the beginning years, I would say maybe around late 2010 or late 2011, I was kind of more of a camper. I would RB, and I would just headshot people. Until I got the message from this guy, and he said, well, why do you camp so much? You get way more kills if you moved around the map. And at first I was going to send him a nasty message back, but I was like, no, let me hear this guy out. And, I told him, oh, as a part of my strategy, this is, what I do, this is just how I play. And he told me that, oh no, you'll get way more kills if you moved around. And that's when I started moving around, and I noticed that I was like, yeah, this guy was right. First of all, it's way more fun to move around, and I'd get more kills moving around, and I feel like I'd be able to do more in the game rather than just stay in one spot and get headshots, and that's where I learned different things about the counter roll and the half turn, and that would be the thing I can do against other players who knew headshots, and use that to kind of combat them or whatever. Let's see, how else did that change? The like I said earlier, the counter rolling and the timing of when to roll, when to do the headshots, all that I learned a lot later. probably I'd say around late 2011, early 2012 is when I kind of learned that stuff for the most part. And then another thing that I did was that I joined another clan, and one of the rules of that clan was to not RB. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to be screwed, I'm in trouble. But then I realized that it was actually better to kneel behind stuff rather than RB, because when you RB, you get stuck behind things, and people like me can run around and smack you, and then you're stuck there. So that was another thing. And also Deadeye wise, I really didn't use Deadeye a lot until maybe like 2017-ish. That's kind of when I was starting to get a little bit more lenient towards Deadeye. I was like strictly against Deadeye. I hated Deadeye for a long time. I hated, people or clans or players that overused Deadeye for the longest time. Like RDS and DSK would just go crazy with the Deadeye. They'd spawn trap everyone. And I was like, no, I don't want to play like that. I want to at least give people a chance. That way, if you kill me, fine. But if I kill you, then I at least give you a chance. I didn't just Deadeye you right from the start. But yeah, that's pretty much how I started playing Red Dead and how my playstyle changed over time. And obviously, when things were introduced, like the 360. The 360 originally came out in 2012. And I didn't really feel like it was more mainstream, like more everyone was doing it until like late 2013, early 2014. But I don't know, I never really got into it. I can do it, I can do the movement sometimes, but for the most part I still use the half turn. And I think that, for the most part it works. But yeah, that's pretty much it on the play style and my origins of how I started playing this game. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys can't wait for the next story. The stories will get better. This one kind of seems like, oh, that's kind of cool, but But the next stories get better. So the next story I'll do is the different clans I've been in, or my involvement with, or my interaction with. And the video after that is where we will cover the crazy ex-girlfriend that I met on here. And I got more wacky stories coming up for you guys, so I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope to see you next time.